These movie moments don't take it light on us. Hello guys, welcome to Filmanter, and for today's list, we'll be taking a look at some of the most powerful sequences from Bollywood movies in the past decade that have went on to have a cult following of their own. For this list, we won't be restricting ourselves to a specific genre of scenes. However, iconic monologues and climax sequences in particular will be left out as they require a list of their own.
ना का मतलब नहीं होता है. No means no.
Before we begin, please make sure to subscribe to Filmanter if you haven't already and press the bell icon to never miss an update. With that out of the way, this is Amir and here are 10 most powerful Bollywood scenes from the last decade. Number 10, Like Father, Like Daughter, Dangal. At around the interval mark in this intense sports drama comes a contest we all weren't ready to see just yet. The tension between father and daughter that starts building right when Geeta returns home from her sports academy culminates in a grueling wrestling match between the two proud athletes and finally ends with Geeta putting away her mentor once and for all, and that too within the same squared circle it all began years ago in. But the match is much more than just a physical contest. It's a battle between different ideologies and egos. Mahabir's inability to come to terms with another teacher trying to take Geeta to the next level, and Geeta's years of internally pent-up frustrations with her dad finally coming to a boiling point in this heated confrontation. With the sounds of grappling, sand, and exhaustion taking over the backdrop, the scene becomes particularly tricky for the viewers to watch as they don't really know who to root for. The young up-and-comer trying to break out of her father's shadow to carve her own path, or the broken old man clinching for dear life in hopes to still win gold vicariously through his daughter. Number 9. Silent Rant, Barfi. Perhaps the greatest heartbreak of the past decade came our way in 2012 when we saw Barfi silently melt down in front of Shruti. What starts off rather pleasantly with Barfi approaching Shruti's house to propose a marriage quite immediately turns real for him as he realizes that Shruti is already engaged to a well-off individual who, unlike Barfi himself, can at least talk and hear. He excuses himself out and even blesses Shruti outside her house only to turn back and begin his silent rant. Frustratingly addressing his social status, financial dependence, disabilities, and even the hole in his blazer that he wore to impress Shruti's parents, the moment comes across as genuine as ever without a single dialogue or background music. What's worse is that we don't see Barfi cry at all in the scene. It's actually Shruti crying in what she knows is a goodbye, only to have Barfi playfully cheer her up as he recollects his thoughts and goes off. This one was brutal. Number 8. An Anniversary to Remember, Andhadhun. If there was one word to sum up this sequence from Sriram Raghavan's most recent thriller, it's anxiety. As the pretending to be blind pianist Akash plays Pramod Sinha's own song for the veteran actor's wife Simi in their apartment, he shockingly discovers Sinha's prone body laying right in the living room as his wife continues to enjoy the vibe. The out-of-nowhere nature of the revelation of the murder leaves both the viewers and Akash stunned as he asks to be escorted to the washroom to recollect his emotions. But even within the washroom, he strangely doesn't break his blind character, only for it to be revealed to us later that the washroom he was escorted to has a gunman already hiding in it, the same person who presumably killed Pramod before Akash arrived. What follows is a haunting overall experience as Akash, knowing well of what's happening around him, goes on to play a soothing theme on his keyboard as Simi and the unknown man dispose of the body as silently as they could. Number 7. The Acceptance, Kapoor and Sons. Maybe one of the biggest cinematic surprises from the past decade was this 2016 Shakun Batra family drama, which was filled with so many powerful moments that we practically could have created an entire list of its own. For this list though, we've chosen a brief exchange of words towards the end between Rahul and his mom Sunita that perfectly captures a parent's unconditional love for their children regardless of whatever transpires. As Rahul returns home from London, he asks his estranged mom to sit with him seeking acceptance of his homosexuality, something that was exactly the point of contention between the two the last time they were under the same roof. This time though, a reluctant Sunita gives in to her love for her elder son, asking him outright how his boyfriend is doing. The beautiful moment is followed up by a heartfelt embrace of each other as the mother and son finally reunite after so much that transpires between them and the entire family before this moment. Number 6, the horrific exploitation, Haram Khor. Throughout this movie, a pedophiliac relationship is teased between a 15-year-old Sandhya and her school teacher Sham. The topic is handled with a bit of lightness throughout, however, as the duo playfully flirts with each other from time to time, and the motherless Sandhya is shown to really have found peace in Sham. Until this scene where they meet in a deserted area after school, and we finally see an uncut version of the true nature of their relationship. Seeing the underaged impressionable girl seek out love from her professor only for the elderly predator to turn back and give her what she asked for reminds us of exactly who this monster is behind all the cute banter. Unlike the entire film to this point, there's nothing implied here. We see the entire act of exploitation being recorded by a single motionless camera from a distance, and all we can hope for is someone to show up and save the minor. Number 5, subtle confrontation, Heather. Another brief exchange of words between a mother and her son. This time though, things are not as pleasant. As Heather makes his way to his mother's room, he playfully jokes about his childish behavior to his mom, only for Ghazala to reciprocate the notion by teasing him of the fact that as a kid, Heather always used to get upset when his father even touched his mom. Heather's response to this, however, is not as playful as Ghazala would have expected. Keeping the same harmless facial expressions and body language, Heather responds by saying how his uncle is the one who touches Ghazala now, asking her of what he should feel now. The scene subtly takes a sharp left turn as the mother and son stare into the mirror in front of them, with Heather planting a kiss on Ghazala's neck and acknowledging how gorgeous she looks. One of the most complex scenes put to film in recent times, the power of this brief encounter is in its subtle display of tension as Ghazala's look perfectly encapsulates in the end. Number 4, the aerial shot, Mom. When a movie is made as dramatic as Mom, you're caught off guard when literally the most important sequence of the film appears in the most elusive of ways possible. That's exactly what happened in this 2017 revenge drama, as Arya is attacked and kidnapped from a late-night party by her dejected classroom admirer and his criminal friends, only for the camera to cut midway for an aerial shot of the moving SUV, as viewers are left to fill in the blanks as to what's going on inside the car. And as if that wasn't enough to put the point across, the SUV comes to a complete stop at one point, only for the driver to be switched and off it goes on the lonely street again. The distance shot and tinted black windows don't let us actually see the horrific act taking place inside the vehicle, but a gang rape is heavily implied as a tense background score takes over. This small sequence from Mom is a rare example from the past decade of how even the most non-graphic scenes can leave us all in shock and disturbed. Number 3, Sir ye to tatti hai, Delhi Belly. Not all great moments from the past decade had to be hard-hitting to make it to our list of the best. Here's a bizarre sequence from the 2011 outlandish comedy Delhi Belly that makes it to our list just because of how wacky it aimed at being. When a local goon is about to be reunited with his lost diamonds, he leaves no stones unturned to finally see them again. With a subtle side of accomplishment on his face, he lays a red cloth, dusts it off to prep for the diamonds, opens the uniquely interesting jar carrying his diamonds, and empties it on the cloth, only to see a liquid brown poop running out of it rather than his shiny white diamonds. What works for this scene is that there's no right way to react to this, and that's exactly what we see from Vijay Raz. Confused, muddled, and even impressed a little on how this happened, the scene is only taken up a notch as one of his henchmen closes up, and this Sherlock moment of the year clarifies that it's poop. The response he gets, however, is a sarcastic thank you from Raz, and that is epic. Number 2, Jamming in the Dark, Aligarh. In the acutely thought-provoking Aligarh, there's a sequence towards the beginning where Manoj Bajpayee, playing the disgraced Professor Srinivas Ramchandra Siras, sits alone in his dark one-bedroom professor's quarter with a drink in his hand and a Lata Mangeshkar song playing on the radio, delivers one of the finest acted moments not just within the last decade, but maybe in the entire century. Director Hansal Mehta, knowing exactly well the caliber of the actor in front of the lens, indulges in Bajpayee for a good 5 to 7 minutes long stretch, letting the actor pour his heart out in this scene that perfectly captures the physical and spiritual isolation the professor is going through after being banished for homosexuality. Trying to hum to the classic Aapki Nazron ne Samjha, The professor finds his own lips and feet betraying him as they refuse to sing to the popular melody, which only gets progressively worse to keep up with as the camera gets closer to him. The professor tries with dear life not to get exposed, yet he simply can't. With the tear too betraying his eye, this scene sets the mood for how lonely his life is. And number 1, touching the complex nerve, Tamasha. Perhaps the most impactful scene from the past decade came from this extremely polarizing Imtiaz Ali drama moments before the mournful Tum Saath Ho starts playing. As Tara finally gets to meet Ved again after their breakup to reconcile their relationship, she gets one shot to fix the madness she triggered in Ved's head, but despite choosing each word of her as carefully as possible, she ends up touching that sensitive nerve of Ved once more. What follows is a drastic change of atmosphere as Ved starts verbally assaulting Tara as she continues crying her eyes out to cling onto him. The moment only gets uglier as Ved, completely perplexed at the situation, tries leaving the bar, only for Tara to literally hold on to him, begging him to stay, as she believes that that's the way to resolve this mess. The physical altercation that follows not only captures Tara's internal guilt towards Ved, but also Ved's internal conflict between humiliating Tara for confronting him on one hand and saving her from himself on the other, only for the sequence to go outside as the perfectly apt Tum Saath Ho starts playing in the background. This scene has its own fan base today. And there you have it, guys, 10 most powerful Bollywood scenes from the last decade. Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know in the comment section down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe to Filmanter for more such content ahead. With that out of the way, I hope you have a safe week ahead. My name is Amir and I will see you soon.